Now we will see different events which we can use to trigger some changes to our elements. The first one is of course the click event which we can use, and then we need to write a function. Now what we will do here is that we have selected all the paragraphs, and when we click on any of them, we will want all of our paragraphs to have the text color of green. So let's see this. Here it is. When I clicked once, all of the paragraphs got the color of green. Besides the click event, we can also use a double click, and then we will make the color to be blue, for example. Now, when I click once, nothing happens, but when I have a double click on any of the paragraphs, the color of the text becomes blue. And this is also a paragraph here for our notes. Besides the click and the double click event, we can also use the on event, and with the on event we need to specify which event will trigger the change that we want to happen, and in our case we can select the click. So when we click on the paragraph, the background color of all the paragraphs will be blue, and we can see it now. When I click just once, the background color became blue. So with the on event, we need to specify what is the event that will trigger our change. Or we can also set it to not on click but on mouse enter. So when we enter with the mouse on a paragraph, the background color will be changed then. I just need to save this. And now here you can see. So now when I enter, you can see the change is applied immediately. And besides the mouse enter, we can also set another change to happen on mouse leaf. For example, we will change the background color to pink. So let's see how this will work. When we enter the paragraph, the background color will be blue, and when we leave, it will be pink. On mouse enter, we can set before our paragraphs to include an H1 with text of new text added. And here you can see that when I enter the paragraph, we have some new text added here, and as many times as I enter the paragraph, you can see a new H1 element with new text is added. Actually, this before here which we are using is adding a new HTML element right before the one that we have selected. Besides using the before, we can also set the after. With the after method, we are adding this H1 after the p tag. You can see now. It is right after the p tag. But besides using before and after, we can use prepend and append. The prepend I will just change the text to prepend. And now when we hover, we are adding the prepend, but actually we are adding the H1 element. But when we click on inspect, here when we have the prepend, we can see that the prepend method is adding the H1 element inside of the p tag, right before the content of the paragraph. Here when we mark it, you can see that our H1 element is inside of the P element right before its content. But if we use the before method, and here when we enter, you can see the prepend is right before the entire paragraph element and not inside of the paragraph and between its content. It is the same with the after method. It is adding the H1 element right after the closing tag of the paragraph element. And if we use the append method, it will add this h1 element inside of the p tag. We can see it here with append, and I will just change this one to append. And now when I hover, you can see that the append method is adding the h1 element inside of the p tag and not after it. It is right before the closing tag of the paragraph. So these are the differences between before, after, and append and prepend.